Welcome to the Sacred Emergence Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Wong, and I'm so thrilled that you're here. This is a place where you'll be guided to living your most aligned life so that your truest, most radiant self can emerge. We'll be jamming on topics ranging from spirituality, entrepreneurship, to wellness and lifestyle design, and everything in between that can support you to grow, evolve, and shine, all the while not taking ourselves too seriously. So if you're ready to step into your leadership, break through limiting beliefs, own all of who you are, and expand in abundance, grab yourself your faith cup of tea and let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to another episode 51 of the Sacred Emergence Podcast. It's Michelle here. Welcome. Today you get another solo episode from me, and I hope you are all doing well. And excited to be here and doing another solo. So I wanted to talk about community today and share how community has been so powerful for me in my life, and specifically having a container where we are invited to show up as ourselves and to share moments in our lives and being witnessed. And I have to say, it sounds almost trite in a way, but when we have access to a collective or a community that can offer you this space, it is incredibly powerful. And this is all in honor of the Courage Collective, which is happening live next Monday, May 4th. So I wanted to highlight a little bit more around the power of community and sisterhood, because this is I think we all know, a community is definitely important. No person is an island. But I wanted to share just a pivotal moment in my life where I actually realized how incredibly important it is to have access to a space where when, shit hits the fan or life isn't going well, a lot of times it's really helpful to have a place where we can go to just to kind of offload what's happening and not necessarily receive advice or coaching around it unless we want it. But a lot of times there's so much power in just showing up, expressing what's going on, and having it be heard. And on the same token, not only having a place where we're heard and sharing the down, the low, the emotional lows, but also a place where we can fully come on full force, celebrate, be excited about all the successes of all the good things that's happening in our lives. That's another piece that does not get enough. Sometimes it's overlooked, right? It's sometimes there's we feel it's selfish to share all of the good news, the good stuff, but this container, it's meant to be all of it. And I'm just so excited for the celebration piece because we don't do it enough. We don't do it properly in terms of celebrating the good in our lives so that we can attract more of it and magnetize more of the good. A lot of times you talk about things that we're grateful for, but celebration is just so amazing, so needed. And this is something that I'm personally tapping more into. And I celebrate everything now, everything. And it just makes everything even more fun, more exciting. And it just takes it up another notch. So it's not just a container where we share, the heaviness of what we're processing. Because that's important, but taking care of that human self. But celebrating the highlights of all the amazing things that is happening in our lives, it just elevates the experience to a whole other level. And that's a part of it too, right? Because I don't know where this was said or if there was a quote around this, but one of the things about living life is we live our lives so that it can be witnessed, right? So that it can be seen. And I feel there's something so beautiful about that. Versus, I guess there is that hermit that goes off to the woods and lives by himself in its own isolated cottage and hiding from everybody. But that is a completely different story, especially as if I'm speaking as to women. Women do so well in community and collaboration and celebration. So I wanted to share what shifted for me and a pivotal moment in my life. Actually, there's actually a few, so I can give a few examples. But the one that I was thinking about that really shifted for me was a few years back, actually in 2017. And I've hinted to this particular community, so there might be a little bit of a repeat from past episodes, but I'll give you like a fuller picture. So back in 2017, I joined this beautiful group, and I think it was capped at around 13 people. And it was all women, and the whole point was really like this container. And I love the woman who was hosting it. And one of the things about it was there was content. So once the program started, it was a 4-month program. It was an investment, and there was daily content. And but part of the container was weekly Zoom calls where we showed up and we shared what was happening in our lives. And if we wanted coaching, we can. But really, it was a place for us to share our voice and what was happening in our lives, and to really hold space for one another. And there's also daily content and homework and things that you could journal on. So there was like this whole program that I was part of. And I have to say, like, I don't remember anything about the homework. Like, I remember, yeah, we talked about different aspects and I journaled different things and there was creative components to it. But what really, really shifted for me was the connection that I made with everybody in the group. And I looked forward to our weekly calls the most. And I felt it was through that container of showing up and sharing what was going on in my life, celebrating the other women, hearing other women's stories and what they were going through and how they were transforming and breaking through, their problems. That's where the transformation happened for me. And um, there was, I forget, like there was this one post that I shared in our private Facebook group around me and around just like sometimes feeling invisible or just not being seen the way I wanted to be seen. And sometimes I felt like I was playing small. And like there was just all these really like personal things that I was sharing. And I don't even know if I was looking for advice. I just wanted to share what was happening in my world and my thoughts. And it was a long post. And it was so beautiful to have other women's reflection of me and like just their support. And I remember one woman really was like, she just shared her honest truth based on how I was showing up and on my post. And she said, honestly, until this point, I felt like I barely saw you. And just getting feedback like that, it can be confronting, but I needed to hear it. And through the rest of that community, I went through major shifts and I was challenged. I grew. And if you look at my marketing for the Courage Collective, you'll see that there's a photo of me in the background. And it was like an artistic photo, but it wasn't just like a la-di-da photo. That photo was taken along with a few other photos. Those photos are very confronting, and it was the woman who gave me that feedback about until this moment I actually didn't see you until you got new glasses where your face lit up more, where like just like her feedback of me was very helpful. And she was also, I don't think she does photography at this moment, but she used to be a photographer. And so she was like, I would love to be able to take photos of you, but since, we're not in the same country even, maybe we could do this, we can get creative and do this over Zoom when I direct you and I'll direct you on how to take your personal photos. And I think it'd be a really fun process. So it was like a guinea pig. I was a guinea pig for her. And the results of that experience are the photos that you see. So I did those photos on my own, through my own phone, and she directed me over Zoom. And then after that, I sent her all the photos and she edited them. And so that was a very powerful, transformative experience for me. And every time I see those photos, it really marked a turning point in my own life. And that was the same group where the whole face paint. And I might have shared, yes, I shared in past episodes around Camp Soul Dust and how Lola Archer Pickett, which I've interviewed. I think she was maybe episode number 5 when we talked about the power of being seen. And Lola's all about, she talks about empathy, and that's her work, empathology. Um, but it was her willingness and her daringness and her courageousness to show up at camp with her face paint. Um, and it was so intriguing. And it was after like this group that I was talking about, this community, that container of the 13 women, it was her program that I joined. Um, and she gifted everybody who was part of that group like a face paint marker. And it was that at that moment that I was like, yeah, I'm going to play with this face paint more. And it was because of her and her willingness to show up and just be brave and push the boundary of being seen and a really playful, creative, artistic way that I'm going to do that too. And that actually broke down barriers for me of how I showed up in corporate world and how I wasn't afraid to be seen in corporate world and how I was willing to bring my full self to, um, to my job. That it was very freeing, and I wouldn't have been able to have done that without that container, without that sisterhood. And same thing with the photos. Like if I wasn't willing to be vulnerable and share what was going on in my life, and be able to receive like just feedback from other women and open to more creative experiences, then I don't know who I would be today. Probably like the same woman as I was maybe like 15 years ago, who was kind of shy, wanted to be seen, but was kind of scared and didn't know how to navigate it, but also wanted to play by the rules. But there was a rebellion inside of me that wanted to come out. Um, and it was because of just amazing women. What happens when women show up together in a really safe container that's also fun, right? There's just so much that can happen. And so that's why like when I was going through my breath work session a few weeks ago, like just the download of creating this container and this group, it just spoke so loudly to me. And a part of it didn't necessarily make sense yet because I don't have a huge following of like thousands and thousands of followers where, putting a program like this together would attract, maybe like 30, 40, 50 people to enroll, right? At like the first wave. Right now, at the time of this recording, I have 4 people who are in, and I am like, if it ends up just being us 4 plus myself, like that's a great way to start. And that was the energy that I came in with. Like, no, you know what? Even though at this moment in time, it's not like I have like a huge following, but I feel so called. And initially, when I first sent out kind of like casting the net to see if anybody would be interested, like no one actually really reached out to me saying yes, except for one person. And, but like, is one person enough to hold a membership program? Like it would just be me and one person. And like, no, I would need more people. And so maybe it didn't make sense to say, okay, I'm gonna go for it, even though there's only one person who said yes, because a lot of times when we kind of cast a net to see if anybody would be interested and like join the wait list, like we want like a certain number of people to say yes, I'm interested before we even put the effort of marketing a program like this and putting it together. But it was so deep inside of me, like this truth of like this container is needed and I feel it. And until I stand behind this program, behind this container, until I'm like, yes, I'm going to actually offer it and I'm going to go all in and see what happens and just trust that people will get it and trust that they will say, yeah, I'm in too because they understand it. Unless I have the courage and the belief and the confidence of what I'm offering, it's not going to happen. Right. So I just decided, yeah, I might not have like 50 people on the first round, but I'm going to put this out there and whoever is going to feel called, they're going to feel called and we're going to make this a go. And that's what I did. And so far, we have 4 people who are in. And so there's room for more. There's another week of promotion for this container to have its founding members. And I am just so thrilled for the people who have said yes. And what is so amazing about these women who have said yes is that I have given very little information on the details of their program. And I've gotten feedback about it. Like, I'm just curious because I don't exactly know what, like the layout and what I'm actually going to be getting. I don't know all the details. And that was by design, because what I really want to do is encourage people to say yes and trust the feeling without knowing all the details. Because once you start knowing all the details, it takes it into the head versus like this visceral, like how does it actually feel? And I kind of want to change the paradigm around it, because like, will you say yes because you know that there are going to be, one Zoom call, or it's going to be on Facebook, or it's going to be, you know, a closed private container, through Facebook as a medium, like all of those nitty gritty details. I don't know if it's going to lean a person into one way or another, when all you really need to know is like, it's around courage, it's around showing up, it's around doing the work, and it's about being our inner leader. Like, it's about leading our own lives with full integrity and being willing to do the work and have accountability. I mean, that, like, just that in and of itself, it's like, are you willing to show up for this or not? Right? All of like the how is going to change, because the container is going to change over time. And founding members will definitely have like a say of how they want this to be shaped. And so, like, can you trust yourself in that, yeah, I'm going to be a part of this container that I'm going to say yes to, because I am willing to transform and do this in a collective where we're all doing it together. And I'm wanting to shift. I'm wanting to up level in my life, and I'm ready. So that's what I'm looking for. And I will be giving details to the program. It's just that at this moment, I feel like um, I'm still wanting people to just tap into that inner knowing and that trust. And it's a month-to-month program, so you can always bow out, right? There's really no contract, right? So that's the other piece of it. And so I really wanted to celebrate all the women who have said yes so far, and who have dived in and jumped in without knowing all the details, and just really trusting their full body yes. And then the power of community is just so beautiful. And I have to say, like, when I joined, and I've shared this in past episodes, but when I joined my network marketing business, that was the first time I've ever felt like, oh my God, I'm surrounded by people who get me, around personal growth and wanting to do something different with their life, and having like a strong container of other women. And there were also men, but the group and the team that I joined was primarily women, and just being excited about improving, like helping spread the word of how can we improve our health, how can we take better care of ourselves, and do it in a way where it benefits ourselves financially and each other, because that was a model. And so, like, there's just so many examples. And then when I joined Mastery from Mama Gina's School of Womenly Arts, there's another container of women where I get to show up in a certain way. I get to ask specific questions, because it can be sometimes it's just so personal, and know that I have a place I could go to. And so with the Courage Collective, it's like, it's everything. I want this container to really allow for women to show up and to celebrate each part of our lives, so that at the end of the day, like, we have this certain level of trust. And that's why, like, there's a closed container, and then I will open it back up for enrollment. And there's a certain level of integrity in this group that I'm calling, because the people who are showing up, we're all leaders, right? We're not coming from a victim mindset. We're all leaders, and we are all responsible for the direction of our lives. And that's like this undercurrent here, right? That's where the tagline is, this is where leaders rise. Anyway, I wanted to share that because I feel this so strongly. And this past week, I experienced this emotional wave that really kind of threw me off my game. And I was grateful that I had like other groups that I could share parts of my story, and just be grateful that I can tell what's going on. But I was thinking, like, wouldn't it be so amazing if the Courage Collective already existed, and then I could like really just peel back the layers and also give insights as to like how I'm navigating this myself, and just have it also be like a beautiful learning experience for other people. So I personally know the power of the Courage Collective. It's already like in my mind, it's already there. It's just I cannot wait for May 4th to start. And so if this is something that you want to learn more about, if this is something that you're like, yeah, I'm interested, I'm going to put the link in the show notes, but also feel free to direct message me or send me an email, michelle@nonlinearpath.com. Or you can just go to the show notes and check out the page for it that has all of the information. And if you are wanting to know all the nitty-gritty details, just hold on, right? And like it's going to shape, like the shape of it is going to change because this is just my idea of it, but I know that as we continue, it's going to evolve so that like it's just going to shift. That's just going to be the nature of a group of people coming together, right? I can offer information that I think would be like helpful, but we won't know until it actually starts. But do know that there will be pieces of integrating human design and really a lot of self-care tools that can really help us really ground and land back into our bodies. We'll talk about, movement and all of the different pieces that really allow us to tap into our divine feminine. And also like there are pieces of like how do we balance that with the masculine, right? That's there, but especially human design, which is really my jam. We'll talk more about that. And as the group is more established, there'll be opportunities for people in the group to guest teach, to share their gifts. This is a container where leaders are showing up. So it's definitely not just, a group of women and I'm leading it. No, we're all leaders, right? So this is really a place for all of us to shine. And this is for all of us to really elevate, support each other, and the hashtag Women Rising, or a rise of tide floats all boats. Like this is all part of it. So anyway, wanted to offer that, and I trust you're all doing well and sending so much love during this time of, with the whole global pandemic and wherever you're all at, just sending so much love and gratitude and just celebrating each and every one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a beautiful day, week, evening, night, wherever you're at, and stay tuned. See you soon. Bye-bye. Join our free private Facebook group community, Sacred Emergence, to receive more connection, guidance, and support. And take part in our 5-day Inner Confidence Challenge to not only boost your confidence, but to help activate your inner leadership. Details in the show notes. Thank you for listening to the Sacred Emergence podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and thank you in advance for sharing this with others who can benefit. Until next time.